By these 5 players walking into week number 9 fantasy football 2023, because these players are going to be on the rise in a major way go forward. The first is Davante Adams. We're going to talk about Davante Adams. The second, these are all buy lows, by the way, on this screen here. These are the top buy lows for week number 9, but this video is going to isolate 5 of them, my favorite 5, and Davante Adams tops the list. We'll go into detail as to why. Achane would be number 2. Probably say, if I had to narrow it down, I'd probably say my number 3 might be Kupp, and we'll talk about that and why. Deebo Samuel, number 4. Bijan Robinson, number 5. The Fantasy Football Show Top 5 Buy Low Edition begins right now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios.
It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live!
Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're looking at a list of players that you should buy right now in week number 9 Fantasy Football 2023. And the reason I list so many of them is because you might have someone that says, I own Adam Smitty. I'm not going to trade him in my league. Why would I trade him now? And that's the whole point, is you're going to run into people that have that attitude and mentality about some of these guys. Some people have been waiting on Achane for months, really a month. And you think they're going to give him up now? No, they're not going to give him up now. And that's going to be the case in many situations. Walker, maybe somebody says, 1 week doesn't bother me, I'm not going to trade him. Or maybe someone in your league just doesn't trade. Like the guy that owns Achane doesn't even respond to any trades, and that's garbage. That guy should be replaced. So you're going to have a lot of these situations going on. That's why I'm listing all of these names, so that you can try different avenues, because not everybody's going to make trades. But Davante Adams has disappointed his fantasy owner for some time, and even though things look better, obviously, especially if you listen to shows like mine that talk about how this shakeup in Las Vegas, firing the coach, firing the GM, putting O'Connell in, the combination of everything is going to absolutely vault Davante Adams back into the spotlight, but vault him back into production as well. We're talking probably top 6 to 10, maybe top 5 to 10 production going forward at the wide receiver position. This is the perfect storm of what needed to happen to get Davante Adams back into that sort of value territory, because he needed O'Connell, because Jimmy G's garbage. I've said that all offseason long. He needed potentially a shakeup and new coaching staff that was willing to say, hey, when O'Connell gets in there, not only is O'Connell better for Adams, we need to target Adams specifically, design plays. First drive, I can picture it now. First drive, right away, first pass, Davante Adams. Maybe 3 or 4 targets on the very first drive. I can see it now, and Adams can see it as well. And probably the most important part about everything that I'm saying right now in terms of Adams is this man's attitude and belief going forward. Because what did I tell you months and months ago? He doesn't want to play for Jimmy G. He doesn't want to play for Jimmy G. All offseason long, I told you, Jimmy G's garbage. He doesn't want to play for Jimmy Garoppolo. And if you need evidence, why not go to the man's own quote when they said, hey, what are you thinking right now? They signed Jimmy Garoppolo, and his first response was, this isn't what I wanted. This isn't what I expected. And this isn't, we have different viewpoints as to where this team should be going. He didn't want Jimmy G. Look at his quote here. As soon as they elevated Antonio Pierce into this coaching role, he says, I'm ready to run through a wall for that man. He's motivated. He's motivated, and his coach is seeing it. His coach is feeling it, and his coach is going to do something about it, because if he didn't garner this up and push it into a positive direction, he'd be a bad coach. And I think he's a player's coach. I really think that he's going to do Adams right. And if there's a receiver I feel has bounce back potential to the tune of even, we'll call him top 5. We don't need to necessarily say 6 to 10. Top 5. It's Davante Adams. This situation is perfect. And for every one of you absolutely angry Anguses out there. They're going to come in and say, Smitty, I don't understand you. Avoid Adams, avoid Adams, avoid Adams. And now you're on the Adams train? Yeah, that's how fantasy football works. It's called buying low and selling high, Bob. It's called adjusting and adapting. It's called let other people draft Adams and spend high draft capital. And for 8 straight weeks, you didn't get what you wanted. And now you come in, swoop in, and you take them away. Now, again, not everybody's going to trade Adams. I get that. That's why there's all these players on screen so you can try different approaches and try and get the vulnerable sleeping owner that doesn't know what's going on and steal away a player from them. There's just not going to be a world where Adams is available in all 7 of your leagues, Bob. That's the nature of this thing. But I can tell you right now, bad trades happen all the time. And the Davante Adams owner may not be as astute as you. They may not be watching shows like this explaining that the shakeup is actually good. Some people think, oh, coach is fired. This is going downhill. You don't know what Bob from accounting is thinking about Davante Adams. Stop acting like you're so special and the world revolves around you. Okay, Adams is available, just not in every league, but he is in many leagues. And I know this because on my text line on thefantasyfootballshow.com, I have people texting me, Smitty, should I accept this offer? It's in my inbox right now. I get Davante Adams and I'm giving up this wide receiver 3 that's playing like a wide receiver 2 and give up Hendy and give up this quarterback that I don't need. Absolutely see it every single hour, every single day. And so I don't want to hear in the comments that these trades aren't happening. They're happening all the time. How many times has a bad trade happened in your league this year? Stop running your mouth about this. Adams is an absolute home run steal. Go get him via trade right now. It could absolutely win you a league. Hey, Smitty, what can I give up to get Adams? Why don't you consider one of these amazing 2-for-1 ideas? Why don't you send a player like, let's say, Diggs? Okay, Diggs, you trade away Diggs, and you get 2 players right here. One of which is Davante Adams, because Diggs commands it, more than just Adams, plus another player right here. Maybe this is where you can squeeze in a Kyren Williams. Maybe this is where you can squeeze in a potential Deebo Samuel. And you get Deebo as well. Maybe this is where you come in and you say, give me Achane, who you're waiting on, and it's not working out for you, so I'll take him off your hands. But then if you do this, they say, wait a minute, that's too heavy on this side. Okay, well, I'll throw in an Adam Thielen, okay? And then now you give Adam Thielen away, and now it's even Steven in this person's mind. Or another player like Hendy, or whatever the case may be, especially if the person has maybe temporary value. That's how you add in a player that's a little bit more heavy and makes the scale, tip over to your side too much. You don't have to necessarily do the 2-for-1. You can start out trying to do the 2-for-1. And then when you throw up a too heavy of a player in there, then you do throw in somebody to balance it out a little bit. That's how you smash a Davante Adams trade, and you do it live. And this other guy right here, who's next? Achane. I mean, I just gave you an example there, but Achane is a player that if we were to try and acquire right now, and I'm telling you right now, he is going to be a top 5 running back upon his return. And everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth, said Iron Mike Tyson. Okay, everybody has a plan until they get punched right in the mouth. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth, said Mike Tyson. That's a direct quote you saw right there. Mike Tyson is correct. And anybody that has Achane right now might be very vulnerable because their plan isn't working. They're literally staring no playoff berth in the face. So they've got to trade Achane away. So now you can go to this owner and say, well, I'll give you 2 players and this will help you now. And especially if this owner, let me write it up here so you can see it, especially if this owner is definitely needing maybe 2 pieces. Maybe you got Kyler Murray because you were smart and they need a quarterback. And now you can give them Kyler and an additional piece here for Achane. And this piece could range from anywhere from a pretty decent playing player. I think Deontay Johnson is worth trading away right now off of a big week. I'm not saying he hasn't earned, in my mind, wide receiver 3 locked in value, if that's where you want to put him. Some people are going to say he's a wide receiver 2 or a 1 now. Give me a break. The guy scored 1 touchdown in the last 75,000 games, okay? So let's not get overly excited about how he's taken over Pickens' job or anything like that. This is something to where I definitely think you can trade Deontay away. And let's say Kyler won't work. So let's say Deontay is in this conversation. So Deontay plus a player like, I mean, honestly, if we take a look at thefantasyfootballshow.com rankings and I try and pull up a couple names, they'll say RBs that come to mind would be maybe a David Montgomery, maybe I would say Pacheco, maybe even if we go to the wide receiver front, we could say something along the lines of, let's do this. Let's say you go to the Devon. You know what probably the better approach for Devon Achane would be you get 2 players, one being Achane, and you give away the bigger name. So let's do it like this. Let's say you give away, let's use Diggs again as an example, because Diggs is a hard player to trade because he's so valuable. But let me show you how I would do it. So you go get Achane, but because Achane isn't worth enough all on his own for Diggs, let's get a little focus here. Then you can go ahead. You can't even read that, Smitty. Come on. Let's see. Achane here. Achane. And then right here, you're going after another piece. So Diggs and Achane, looking at thefantasyfootballshow.com rankings, let's just come up with a wide receiver that makes sense here. So Devon Achane and what wide receiver? Let's scan down the wide receivers. Let's say they have a Garrett Wilson. Let's say they have let me see if we can use Deebo in one of these examples. So if we go back to this screen here, I would say Achane and Garrett Wilson make some sense. But I understand that Diggs has value that some people would say, I don't want to get rid of Diggs. And if everything's fine and nothing's broken, you know, why try and fix it? You know, keep going with Diggs, don't make a trade. But if you need a big swing and you have Diggs and you're losing with Diggs, then you got to do something. So an Achane and Garrett Wilson will make sense. Also, an Olave, I think buying low makes sense. This guy alone, Achane, once he's back, could hang with Diggs, like game for game, be just as valuable. That's why this is an important piece. You want to make sure you try and grab a player that lands. You could say Deebo if you wanted. That would be probably the lowest I would go, but Deebo is somebody that I do love acquiring right now. This is probably the easiest way to get Achane. Make Achane the accoutrement, the accessory in the trade, and get another piece that, look, if Achane didn't come back, you at least have Diggs versus Deebo. Does Diggs destroy Deebo? Probably. I'm not an idiot. But this gives you a fighting chance that if this side doesn't work out, this side still puts up points and gives you a fighting chance. And if this side doesn't work out, this side gives you a fighting chance to put up points. That is the definition of a beautiful 1 player you send away for 2 player that you acquire trade. Can both of these individuals potentially hang by themselves if something happened? That's called diluting your talent into 2 players and avoiding a whole hell of a lot of risk as well. Achane. And Deebo, as I talked about just there, Deebo is coming back. He says he's healthy, and I believe him. He was asked in an interview if he's good to go. He says he's good to go. They've got a bye week. He's going to get healthy. This offense has not been firing on all cylinders. The offense looks really, really bad right now, and it partly is because this man Deebo hasn't been on his horse doing his thing. And I think they try and get the offense back on track by short passes, design plays similar to back when Jimmy Garoppolo was struggling and Shanahan had to mask what was going on there, mask Jimmy G's deficiencies. I'm not saying Brock is deficient really, but he's looking more like Brock Turdy than he is Brock Purdy. So let's do some design plays. Let's get Deebo involved. Let's get the defense, thinking about other components of the offense so that we can let Purdy have more space to throw across the middle, do what he's doing with Kittle, continue that whole thing, get Ayuk involved. But this man, the offense really needs to have this man back doing Deebo things, which will then open up more for McCaffrey again. It's going to be a good thing. Deebo's a very good buy low. Shall I say, even low-end wide receiver 1 material. And given that he's on a bye right now, given that his owner probably thinks he's still maybe banged up, even though Deebo says he's fine, this makes him a pretty easy acquisition, especially if you're buying him nowhere near wide receiver 1 numbers, and I almost guarantee no one's even expecting that. And the other two guys, Cooper Kupp. Look, Cooper Kupp is definitely a player that has some risk. Okay, I'm going to put Cooper Kupp right here. He has some risk. Why does he have risk? Because Matthew Stafford, if he gets injured and out for the year, he's injured right now. He has the torn or the strained UCL, and the UCL goes down your thumb all the way down your arm. This is what Brock Purdy tore. This is what Josh Allen strained as well, or slightly tore, and he struggled to come back from. Not this year, but he definitely showed that you could play through it. Stafford's a tough guy. I think Stafford may miss this week as of the recording of this show. He's questionable to play in week number 9, so we don't know if Kupp will be without Stafford, if Puka Nacua will be without Stafford in week number 9. That's possible. Then they have the bye week, but I think that bye week makes it so if he does sit this week, Cooper Kupp is going to be a good player to have down the stretch. If Stafford goes down, I'm going to say this right now. There's risk involved with Puka and with Kyren, Puka, and Kupp. If Stafford goes down, it's game over essentially in terms of everybody eating, because the formula is Stafford plus McVay equals overwatering of the plants to a degree that no other quarterback could replicate. Nobody can replicate, especially on this roster, but nobody can replicate this, and they can't trade anymore. So if Stafford goes down, it's game over. There's no Cooper Kupp as we know it. There's no Puka Nacua continuation as we know it. Maybe Kyren keeps getting fed, but this is one of those situations where if he goes down, it's game over as we know it. But you can't play scared, okay? Scared money don't make money. And I'm sure Mike Tyson's got something to say about this as well. But Cooper Kupp is, people are petrified. There's a lot of petrified Peters out there. I know, because on my thefantasyfootballshow.com text line, I'm getting texts where people are saying, Smitty, do I trade Cooper Kupp for this wide receiver, low-end wide receiver 2? Hey, Smitty, I need a tight end. Do I trade this top 6-7 tight end, or go get this top 6-7 tight end for Cooper Kupp? Hey, Smitty, I need a quarterback. Should I trade for Deshaun Watson and Thielen and give away Cooper Kupp? No. And I know people are just petrified because 2 bad games in a row mixed with the Stafford injury, mixed with the upcoming bye, it makes him a steal. There's risk, yes. But if you need the risk, if you need the swing, this is a top 5 wide receiver potentially that you're going to get for a screaming steal. Okay, so go get Cooper Kupp. And trades for Cooper Kupp include same type of concept. You're trading Diggs down to Kupp. And I hate to keep using Diggs. Let's use another player. Let's say you have Tony Pollard, and you're worried about Tony Pollard. Now, I'm not saying Tony Pollard is garbage. I'm not saying get rid of him, but you could go across position and get Cooper Kupp straight up. I'd be fine with that. Let's say you have a Monty that you're a little bit worried about, because Gibbs is looking strong, but you know Monty's going to come back doing good things. You could trade Monty for Cooper Kupp right now. And if you had to give up another additional wide receiver 3, you could do that. That's not a big deal. Getting Cooper Kupp is not all that difficult. You just got to get creative. Sometimes you're going to do some sort of 2 for 1, 1 for 2, 3 for 3, 2 for 2. And Bijan Robinson, look, there's risk here. Cooper Kupp, I left Cooper Kupp and Bijan for last because they both have probably the most amount of, I would say, risk involved. Risk not because of talent. Cooper Kupp and Bijan are obviously top 5 players at their position. And you can say no to that if you want on Bijan, but I will say yes. You say no, I say yes. I don't care. But the question is Arthur Smith. This guy, this absolute imbecile of a coach that doesn't know what he's doing. Where's my hat when I need it? This guy, Arthur Smith, he looks a lot like this. If you see this guy, you know who I'm talking about. Arthur Smith is an imbecile, and he doesn't know how to use his players. But I do believe that this man will eventually get on his horse. I do believe that this man will start scoring touchdowns. I do believe that we are looking at an explosion fest about to brew. And if you don't go get Bijan now I'm getting fed up with Arthur Smith, and I'm on my last little whatever. My nerve. I'm on my last nerve with Arthur Smith value. That's what Bijan's value is at now. I'm on my last nerve. I don't know that I can deal with this anymore. I just want a wide receiver or something. You can get him pretty creatively right now. And is there risk that the price you pay is actually what you get in return all year long? Yes. But again, scared money don't make money, baby. And Bijan Robinson has the ability to go explode. And if he doesn't, I venture to say whatever you're paying, you probably still get that back. I think we need to understand one thing here, okay? Bijan Robinson walking into that last contest. Let's see here. Let me get this. I got to fix this focus problem. Bijan Robinson walking into his last contest, you know, the flu game, where the headache game, not the headache game, but we call it the flu game, the headache game. He was running back number 8 before he walked into that contest. Then Bijan Robinson doesn't play at all, and Bijan plummets. But even getting misused, he was RB8 walking into that specific game. And he scored a rushing touchdown last week. He could have been fed more, but running back 8, imagine if he was fed great volume. If he can be running back 8 being misused all season long, I venture to say whatever you pay for Bijan right now, he's going to get you back pretty easily. Now go out and buy these 5 guys and go win a league, pal, and go do it live. I'm live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern every Monday through Friday. I'm also live whenever news breaks. See you at 8 p.m. Eastern.